Hello and welcome to Decoding the New Economy. Today I'm joined by Chris Petersen, the CEO and founder of Cloud Awakening. Chris, thank you very much for joining us.
My great pleasure.
Now, first of all, let's kick off with what does Cloud Awakening do?
So we're all about physical and fixed asset management. What we do is we help small to medium businesses act like a large business. So what we've gone out to do is actually distill what larger businesses like IBM, Microsoft and SAP do as market leaders in the asset management space. We've actually distilled that down to a product that people can use today, get value out of it today and use as a small to medium business owner.
Right. So why did this idea come to you?
Actually, it came out of my background. I've got a building degree and working in the building construction space.
Right.
And in my last role, I worked for a company called Trimble, and I really saw that no matter whether it was a small company or a large company, they were still using Excel to just do so much,
right,
as we all know. So it was quite interesting to sort of see that and think along the lines of that there's a gap in the market where people still track their assets, track their net worth of the very company that they work for on an Excel spreadsheet, which I still find quite bamboozling.
Yeah, the tyranny of the Excel spreadsheet.
Exactly right, yeah. And we all know that once you start sending around an Excel spreadsheet, it becomes unsecure. The wrong person might be added to the CC list. Sure. And then obviously from that, data corruption and the like. So there's so many risks in doing a business model in that method. So having a cloud solution, I think, is the no-brainer answer to that, which is what we've done.
Yeah. So you're tying into some of the other services, like I'm thinking, like say the Zeros for the accounting, that sort of thing.
Yeah, great question, and absolutely. So we're leading with Xero actually. Yeah. We absolutely love them. We use them ourselves, and we think that's a really good cultural fit as well. So we're an add-on to Xero, okay. And you can find us through the Xero marketplace or through our website asset.guru.
Yeah, because this is changing the way things are working for small businesses, particularly with distributed workforces.
Yeah, exactly. You're spot on. And I think somebody called us a micro-multinational, and which I sort of chuckled at because I think in realistic terms, a lot of small businesses are becoming like that. We're not alone in that sense. Is that in a global marketplace where people buy their goods and services from overseas as consumers, I think it's only natural for a small business to do the same. Yeah. And so from that perspective, we need to be multi-currency, we need to be multi-language as vendors or products, and so therefore, why not? And so that's the angle that we've taken, is to provide that multinational approach.
Yeah, so you've come from a building software industry background, from other multinationals. How do you find the transition from working from one of those big companies to running your own startup? Yeah,
look, the honest answer is it's scary.
Right.
The support structure and that larger companies provide is absolutely second to none. And having a range of people to talk to when something goes, something goes wrong or there's a question is absolutely fantastic to do. As a startup, you've obviously got yourself to ask, and the beautiful thing that I've seen is actually the culture within Sydney and within Australia as a whole, where people have come out of the woodwork literally to try and help, which has been fantastic, and that's with both expertise, with their time, and with their advice, and it's been actually a great journey. Yeah,
so with that, you've started up, have you gone out and grabbed lots of capital, or are you bootstrapping? Or?
Yeah, no, absolutely bootstrapping. So I'm very much a big proponent of doing as much as we can organically, and also growing the business organically as a result of sales that come in. So whilst we've only just gone live, so it's early days from that perspective. We'll stay as long as we can with focusing on the customer, actually leading from their requirement list and actually trying to fit the market rather than actually focusing on the venture capital firms and understand their requirements.
Sure. Yeah. So as a brand new startup, what's the biggest challenge you've been finding so far?
Oh, look, it's just you can't learn enough in a day. Sure. And to be quite honest, there's a physical limit of what you personally can do in a day. So we're starting to hire staff to support that and actually support the growth that we're getting. Yeah. And we've got a new person starting on Monday, and that will be just the first of many. So we're only 3 or 4 people here in Australia at the moment. We've got 4 staff in the UK developing. Right. But I hope to be triple that size next year.
Yeah, that's interesting. You're developing in the UK because most of the startups I speak to, certainly in Australia, they're usually looking at Sri Lanka or the Philippines and that. In the States, maybe they're looking at Eastern Europe, that sort of thing. But the UK is an interesting choice.
It was. It came out of actually market need. When we went out to market to try and find developers, I just couldn't find the right people and the right staff. And out of a casual conversation through a mutual friend, I spoke to somebody that actually had an accounting background and who was a developer. So for me, it was a no-brainer. Them understanding the space of depreciation and even assets as a whole was a really, really nice segue into the conversation then about, okay, how do we build a market-leading product?
Right. So you've got operations in Australia and in the UK at the moment. How big are the global aspirations?
oh look, endless. And any startup's going to say that, of course. But look, I mean, we're following and focusing on 3 main markets: Australia, the UK, and the US for next year. And it'll be in that realm. So you know, we'll see where the biggest market penetration comes first, and we'll go after that market next year.
Right. Are you tied closely into what Xero do? Or
Absolutely, yeah. We love their story, the culture they bring to the table, and the fact that they really bring energy and excitement into the accounting industry as a whole.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what we plan to do with asset management. So what might have been unspoken or very quietly spoken about in the past, we hope to make a big noise about it and actually get people excited about it.
Yeah. So what were your reasons for choosing Xero?
As I said before, realistically, a cultural fit. It's simple, it's straightforward, and it gets to the point. And so we really love that factor. Is that it's the cultural experience that people have when they use it. So, like our product, we want to have an ecosystem of players that we work with, where you don't need to be an expert in order to use it, and that's really key.
Yeah. Now, in talking to you about this, and you're doing the bootstrapping, friends, family, and fools type funding model. Do you see down the track that you're going to have to go out and raise money?
Yeah, absolutely, and that's the exciting part of the journey when we get to that place, and I am actually looking forward to that.
Yeah.
The reason being is that VC firms out there, they actually bring a level of expertise to the table and a level of environment that we wouldn't normally be in. So one of the perfect stories that I've got already is really that I'm looking at the Internet of Things. In other words, assets, things that people own.
Right.
How do they actually talk to each other? And that's where VC firms are really at the forefront of technology.
Sure.
They're dealing with themselves, with startups that are doing and focusing just on the Internet of Things. So if we can actually bring them into our own ecosystem, then I think it just leapfrogs us ahead of the market.
Yeah, that's interesting that you raise the Internet of Things with that, because increasingly we're going to see a lot of this stuff being automated, what these assets are doing, and again, this ties into that cloud services of being able to automate those functions.
Correct, yeah. I think, I mean, you're spot on. It's really, I think it's going to become expected in 5 years. Right now, it's of interest, but then in 5 years' time, it's going to be expected.
Yeah.
And so any startup that's going into this space is going to need to provide that as an expected solution, as a baseline solution.
Sure.
So we're lucky that we're ahead of the curve, that we're a brand new solution built this year. And the reason why I say lucky is because we don't have a legacy of product that we need to try and rearrange or re-engineer to suit that. So we're already in discussions with Apple and IBM and Google themselves about how they see the market in 5 years' time.
Sure.
So, you know, standing on the shoulders of giants, as people say, I think that's the smartest way to look further ahead than what we normally would have.
So, Chris, obviously the building industry is one of the verticals you're looking at. Which other verticals do you see you going into? Yeah,
so building, mining and construction and as a whole is really, really exciting to us. To answer your question, I think an aligned market for us is property management and building owners. Right, that's quite of interest because it's aligned, but it's quite different in its own right. So it's not capital intensive, but people could easily lose sight of what the bits and bobs are that make up their net worth, and that's really important to us.
Yeah. Now, one of the things I find when I speak to startups is that that early stage, it's talking to the customers that they learn the most. What are the big learnings that you've taken from these early stages?
Just make it simple. That's the number one key thing. The market as a whole sees the gap between what the big guys at the end of town are doing, the enterprise asset management players, the IBMs, Oracles, SAPs and Microsofts. And they're fantastic products, but they're complex for good reason. And I guess at the end of the day is that a small to medium sized company can't afford an overhead of having a full-time asset manager or having a person dedicated to that particular role. So they're saying make it simple, and that's what we're trying to do.
Right. Well, on that, Chris, it's great to meet you, and good luck with the business.
Thank you very much. Likewise.
Okay, thank you. And thank you for joining Decoding the New Economy.